Welcome back, guys, to CFL Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. We got a big week of football coming up here. We're back to 4 games for the week. We got some big games coming up as well. This is going to be a pretty exciting week. And first, before we get into that, we got to talk about today's sponsor, which is BetStamp. Now, BetStamp is not a traditional sports betting website. It does not offer you one money line. It will actually offer you many money lines from a variety of sources and other betting websites. So that way you can make the most for every bet you make. So make sure when you download it from the App Store, or if you use the link in the description below to the website, you will use code CFL Central, so that way they know that you're coming from us and you're saving money. So that way you can make the most out of your bets and get the biggest possible payout instead of whatever just your app will offer you. So thanks again to BetStamp for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. So yeah, let's get right into it. We got Saskatchewan versus Winnipeg, the first game of the week. So I'm really excited for this. Obviously, a rematch. Bombers are going to be home. I'm actually not going to be at this game, believe it or not. This is one of the few games I won't be at, and I know what you're thinking. What? You're not going against the game against Saskatchewan? Well, it's because I got tickets to WWE's Friday Night SmackDown almost a year ago. They were supposed to be here in January, but it got delayed. So check out my video on the No One Hockey podcast. We're going to do a video on that. I will make sure also to cover this game, though, as well. But sadly, I will not be able to attend. So Saskatchewan's going to be looking for payback here after getting quite stomped. The Banjo Bowl blowout happening only just a few weeks ago. Saskatchewan is a little bit in free fall. They have lost a lot of games in a short period of time, and this is going to be very key that whether they win or lose, they're able to get back on that right foot going forward. I think that Saskatchewan's really got to hope that after a game like they had against the Banjo Bowl, and how, especially for Winnipeg, having that game against Hamilton where they got quite stomped, that Saskatchewan's got to feel that they can win this game and they must win this game. I think that Saskatchewan is really teetering on that edge of if they're going to be able to cross over to the east or not. I think that's absolutely in their best interest, and they're going to really need to clean it up here, because the thing is that there's no way they're catching BC or Calgary. I don't see them putting up that strong of a performance and Calgary or BC falling that much, even with Nathan O'Rourke being out for the Lions. So this is going to be a very, very important game for Saskatchewan. Obviously an important game for Winnipeg, against a rival. But even more so for Saskatchewan, as Saskatchewan, they're still fighting for that spot. They want to be that team that crosses over to the east, especially since, with how strong Saskatchewan can be at their best, they could win that eastern side. Even as a crossover team, it is possible. So Saskatchewan, this is a really important game for you guys. As a Bomber fan, hope you lose, but I know that you guys are going to be rooting for them and rooting for them hard, because Saskatchewan fans always do that. But let's get into our next game of the week, which is going to be Ottawa versus BC. Now, Ottawa is out of it at this point, and now BC is really just trying to recover and get kind of their right foot on the ground now that Nathan Rourke is out. Vernon Adams Jr., like I said, had some struggles. Make sure you check out the review of last week's game so you can actually know exactly more of what I'm talking about here. But hopefully against a bit of a weaker opponent like the Red Blacks, that BC can really kind of get going and get off on the right foot and get going in the right direction. And this is a type of game where they can get that done. And so I think that it's very key that they're able to do that. Nick Arbuckle, I think he's got to get a few touchdown passes. If you're the Red Blacks, I think the Red Blacks are hoping to take advantage of a weakened BC without Nathan Rourke, and with a bit of a scrambling BC Lions now just trying to put something together without Nathan Rourke and get moving forward. So I think Ottawa's got to really try to take advantage of that, and BC's got to try to organize the troops and get going in the right direction so that they can move forward. And that will bring us into our next game, which is the Montreal Alouettes versus the Edmonton Elks. So obviously Edmonton out of it at this point. Montreal really trying to solidify that second place spot even more so. Trying to get as many wins as they can, so that way they're able to have that advantage against Saskatchewan going into, or if they end up playing Saskatchewan, that is, going into playoffs. And I think they have to expect that they can pretty much get anyone at this point. So I think beating a team like the Elks and not allowing a team like the Elks to get their first home win since they were called a different name. I'm not going to say it because we probably shouldn't. But since the name change, they have not won a game at home. Edmonton, I'm going to remind you of that until you do. So, Edmonton, you gotta get a win. You gotta stop this charade at some point. But Montreal gotta hope to extend that. So, I'll get my predictions at the end. This will be interesting. And then we got Toronto versus Calgary. Now, Calgary is really trying to get and take that spot from the Lions at second place, so that way they can have that home field advantage come playoff times, and it's absolutely possible they can. They're going to have a tough opponent here in the Toronto Argonauts, who have really started to solidify themselves as that number one team in the East. They have now solidified that, I'd say, for sure. Bo Levi Mitchell had solid times when he was playing. He's now not been playing as much because Jake Mayer's been coming in. He's had a strong performance, and I think the Toronto Argonauts defense is going to really need to figure that out, figure out how to stop running back Kadeem Carey, and all of what Calgary has to offer on defense. And it'll be really key that Bethel Thompson will be able to connect with his receivers and move this forward, and I think they can. And yeah, I'm curious to see how this one goes. So in the first game of the week, I'm going to predict Winnipeg over Saskatchewan simply because I haven't seen enough evidence of change, I'd say, in Saskatchewan to really see something spark them to get moving. Obviously, their coach had some interesting statements that I think rattled the locker room quite a bit. However, I don't know if that's necessarily the good kind of rattling. I think it could actually be something that could lead more to internal struggles. But if you're a Saskatchewan fan, you got to hope that rattles the team to really start to perform. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Ottawa versus BC. I got to take BC. I don't see Ottawa being able to do enough to overcome what the Lions have. And then Montreal, I'll take over Edmonton because Edmonton can't win a game at home. And then I'm going to take the Argonauts over the Stampeders. However, I'm talking under a field goal difference. It's just going to be a really close game, and I think a really exciting game. And yeah, I can't wait to see how this goes. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you guys have not already. Make sure to check out the videos I said coming out on the Known Hockey Podcast YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys next time.